To this, my favorite photo. Would K-Mart be shocked? Here we go, Kimberley. Would K-Mart be shocked if the Chiefs wind up the 1 seed in the AFC?
Greeny, I would not be shocked. You know why? Because that would mean Patrick Mahomes is inevitable. People like Jeff Saturday, Domonique, they just want to write off the Chiefs. Say, their time is over.
Not Jeff.
No, I'm just kidding. But people are expecting this team to fall off, and guess what? They've gotten reinforcements. Rasheed Rice is back. Yeah, I think they could do it.
1 seed, Neek.
Yeah, I mean, I try to be honest about what I see. When I say that they had fallen off, it's because it looked like they had fallen off. But I've watched the way that they played offense the last few weeks. They back. They back. They're protecting Patrick Mahomes. They got guys running past people. You can't run with the speed that they have. They've been awesome on offense. Their defense isn't quite the same, but I do think this team is probably the best in the AFC right now.
Next one. Would K-Mart be shocked?
Next to the Colts. Thank you.
Would K-Mart be shocked if Caleb Williams leads the Bears to the playoffs?
Okay, hear me out here. I'm gonna say shocked, but that's because Ben Johnson and Caleb would be a year ahead of schedule. I think right now, I just want to see continued growth, and we are seeing that. I don't want to, listen, they have a good team, they have a good roster, all that, but I don't think that the playoffs means that they have to make the playoffs in order for this to be successful. I just want them playing meaningful
so deep.
games.
I mean, that's the point, right? There's so many teams.
That's why you can't have nice things. You can't just appreciate the beginnings of
Jeff
things.
and I came up with a term yesterday because you were doing contender and pretender.
Right.
We called them pre-contenders.
There you go. Almost there.
This is the progress every Bears fan has begged for 20-plus years. You're seeing it. Relax. They're in a tough division. They're in a tough conference. They'll get there. Let Ben Johnson do his thing.
Okay, next one. Would K-Mart be shocked if Drake May and the Patriots win the AFC East?
Okay, not shocked, but surprised, because that would mean the Bills have fallen off. But look at this play. This play right here typifies what coaches are so excited about when they look at Drake May. The fact that he's able to evade pressure, he's able to scramble, he's able to look downfield and find a receiver, and even though, listen, Pop Douglas, even though this TD was called back because of the pass interference on Stephon Diggs, it just kind of shows the growth. The fact that he was able to look and see downfield and find receivers, they are so excited about his growth. I love the Patriots.
He's for real. Drake May is the truth. Jeff, our buddy Tim Hasselbeck was 100% right about him coming out, and it is a two-pronged conversation. That play that the Patriots had was called back on one of the worst offensive pass interference calls you'll ever see in your life, but it still is indicative of what they are becoming. It is also, and you brought this up earlier, you said, well, we're talking about the Eagles. They've lost 2 games and the sky is falling. We don't talk that way about the Bills. Should we? Should we be saying the sky is falling off back-to-back losses?
Yeah, I'm more concerned about the Bills than I am the Eagles. I mean, when I watched the Falcons game, it was from an offensive perspective, clearly, or just distinctly. I will say that the plan that Jeff Ulbrich brought, pressure, zone blitzes, those kinds of things, there was no answer. And the answer is you have man coverage behind it. Somebody has to get open. That interception that he throws right there, his outlet was a check down to the back, coming out of the backfield, and the backer bluffed and then went over the top. And then Allen freezes, and it's like the clock in his head is speeding up. Why does it speed up? Because no one's winning. Like when you go look at when the Chiefs, when they have to hold the ball, and all of a sudden their receivers, they're like 5 guys, dude. I mean, it's wide open, right? And for some reason, the Bills that is concerning, right? Because James Cook is your best player. You're not using him effectively. They're blitzing you. There has to be an answer from Joe Brady in this offense.
You had that game on Monday night. You had the other sideline, but what did you see from the Bills, and what is your sense?
And we were in the production meetings with the Buffalo Bills. Here's the truth of the matter. Raheem Morris referred to Josh Allen, to a man, as Superman, the entire production meeting. Everyone knows that going in. So all the focus is on getting to Allen. But when they had a couple injuries, Palmer goes down with the injury, Kincaid didn't dress, and Samuel's not available. Suddenly you're looking in crunch time to an end around to Elijah Moore as your go-to guy, or Shavers, number 14, who I don't think anyone was really familiar with, in big spots. Brandon Beane has been very certain to say, everybody eats. We've got a lot of different guys. We don't need that true number 1 because we've got this roster where we have so many different options. I felt like they needed that true number one or somebody to step up, and Khalil Shakir wasn't that guy when they needed him most.
Yeah, and I think the way that the Falcons executed is not something that everyone can pull off.
I agree
so
with
I
that.
wouldn't be worried about this offense all the time, but it looked a lot like the game plans that teams used to use against Lamar Jackson when they didn't have the weapons around. It's like, we're going to blitz him.
That's right.
We're going to get the ball out of his hands quickly. The way that you get people to stop blitzing you is not by picking up the pressure. It's by making them pay with a big play. And that's what that's what Allen couldn't do, and it's part of it because he doesn't have the weapons to get it done.
Allen is not the one I'm worried about. How about their defense?
Yeah, that's a big concern. It's been the problem with talking about the Bills' defense is for the last 3 years I've looked at them and said they don't got the bodies to get it done. But they somehow get it done every year. Right now, again, I'm looking at them like, yeah, they don't have the personnel to get it done, and they aren't getting it done.
Yeah.
They normally find a way to create a ton of turnovers that compensates for the fact that people are gonna move the ball against them. But if you give up 81-yard touchdowns, you're not gonna win a lot of games.
Milano's, they still have injuries on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
But to Nick's point, the one thing you can say about Sean McDermott, their defense almost every year doesn't start out great, but for whatever reason, they find a way to become locked in as the season progresses. You're hoping the same thing happens. Because here's the thing. McDermott saw it on offense. He actually even addressed it at postgame, and he was like, it was much harder than it should have been. He gets it. He understands defensive football to know if you can't break man coverage and beat man coverage, you got problems. Whether it's Coleman, Shakir, Shavers, whoever the guy is, everybody's got to beat man, like at some point.
Yeah. This was supposed to be their year. This is supposed to be the year the schedule set up for them. So far, it's not going that way. Peter off to do first take. We roll on in just a moment to a Week 7 watch. Hey, Jeffrey, Saturday, what are you watching for in Week 7?
Yeah, let's talk about how the Rams are going to protect Matthew Stafford against this Jags defense. I think if you're watching the Jacksonville Jaguars, they've had a great start to the season, better than expected. Liam Cohen's doing a great job. But they're up and down, and they didn't produce well last week against the Seahawks. This defense is going to have to carry them while they figure it out on the offensive side. Can the Jaguars put a ton of pressure on Matthew Stafford, create turnovers, create havoc in the backfield? That's their only chance to win.
Kimberly Martin, what do you have your eye on in Week 7?
Unfortunately, the hot seat watch bowl in Cleveland. Kevin Stefanski versus Mike McDaniel. Listen, everything is horrible in Cleveland. The fans are upset. They're not winning games. The defense is upset. Myles Garrett is frustrated. And then in Miami, everybody's frustrated. Tua's calling out players and teammates and all that. Somebody's got to win this game, guys. And
it's in the rules.
I mean, that's where we're at.
It's in the rules. Domonique, what are you watching for in Week 7?
Yeah, this Super Bowl contender, the Eagles, see if they can get this offense together against Brian Flores and the Minnesota Vikings defense. We all know how complicated and confusing the Flores defense is. It normally doesn't start that way. He waits and lets you get settled in and then blitzes later. And the Eagles don't particularly like to attack the middle of the field, and that's an area that I think you have to threaten against this Flores defense. You have to threaten all points of the field. So I'll see if this team can run the ball, because that'll make it easier, or if they can attack the middle of the field through the air, which will also loosen up this defense.
Look, they played last Thursday, so it feels like it's been a very long time since we've talked about them. But, Jeff, you asked to have a moment here, and everyone, I want you to listen carefully as Jeff is going to go through just why the offensive coordinator and all the change in that area is so significant and why it explains part of what we're seeing with this offense.
Yeah, everybody's panicked about the Eagles' offense, and I understand the frustration. They're not doing what everybody expected them to do coming out of a Super Bowl. This is Jalen Hurts' 5th offensive coordinator, all right? So Kevin Patullo replaces Kellen Moore from last year in that Super Bowl run. But I want to put together 3 guys: Tom Brady, Josh McDaniels, Drew Brees, Sean Payton. Peyton Manning and Tom Moore. These are the quarterbacks, all Hall of Famers. Drew's going to be a our first ballot Hall of Famer here coming up. But the time they spent with these guys to understand the trust that has to occur between a play caller and a quarterback is enormous. And the comfort level of knowing what to expect, why the play's being called at that moment in the game, it all takes time. So to expect it to be hitting on full cylinders week 7 of the football season is a bit ridiculous, right? Kellen Moore got them ahead. They got on a roll. But the players in the building and the players on the offense, I trust more than just the system. They will figure it out. But people, settle down, right? You're seeing the difference in coordinators, and it just takes time. Jalen Hurts, for all that people want to fault, has done pretty well with all of these guys, which is hard to do.
He's done incredibly well. But I think what makes it even harder is you see what the Colts are doing with Shane Steichen, who came from the Eagles.
Right.
That's what it's supposed to look like.
I agree with
That's
that.
what it's supposed to look like. And you look at Jalen Hurts and you look at Daniel Jones and you're like, all right, Jalen Hurts, you should be able to do what Daniel Jones is doing. And what the Eagles have looks more talented, frankly, than what the Colts have. That's why guys like me have a hard time when we look at the Eagles like, no, look, this is the offense. That's what it should look like.
Right.
And to your point about trust, I'll say this also is the trust really matters between coordinator and quarterback when things get bad. Because if I trust this guy, if he has some credibility or cachet with me, when he says this single thing is the problem, let's focus on, let's fix it, it feels a lot better than when you're like, well, I don't know if he really know what he's doing. He just started doing it.
Do you remember in the offseason when Jalen was asked about, the new offensive coordinator and could it be Patullo? And he's kind of like, well, I mean that job is very different from what he does, what an offensive coordinator has had to do. So yes, they have a great roster, but when you think about the concern level, it's sort of like comments like that, comments the players are making. If they are not saying anything, we're just going off of what we see, but they are talking about it's predictable. They are talking about, hey, guys all have to be on the same page. Yeah, you can change coordinators. However, this is the same core of guys who won a Super Bowl. Yes, they're missing pieces, but still.
Jeff, I want to put up something that, to me, we can make things complicated, or we can put 833 on the screen and make things incredibly simple. Yeah. The first 6 games of the Eagles season this year versus last year.
Right.
That first number, pretty close to identical, right? Scoring 1 fewer point per game. Passing yards, they're a little bit down.
Right.
Look at the rushing yards.
Yeah.
They were running the ball for 166 yards a game last year. Every team in the NFL is going to win when they run for 166 yards. Now they're running for fewer than 100 yards per game. Saquon is on pace to rush for less than 1,000 yards after rushing for 2,000 last year. Whatever it is that explains that, to me, is the problem with the Eagles offense.
And I agree with that. And the numbers don't lie. But here is the difference. They're still both 4-2. So even having those numbers, you're finding ways to win, which ultimately keeps you in the hunt to push this thing. But they will. I think Stoutland, I think the offensive line, like Landon Dickerson being banged up, that's part of the reason, right? Like they're trying to figure out, Stein is there now. It's different than Mekhi Becton. They've also moved pieces and parts up front, and Saquon hasn't been able to hit the big ones. They have to figure that part out. I fully agree with that.
We talked about this more in depth when we had more time on the podcast. You can really flesh it out. You can't do it here, but I think the problem is the wins are the wins, and we all recognize that. But as much as you are defending them, you know that this ain't right. Everybody knows that this ain't right. And everyone knows that if they're going to do, to your point, everybody's having injuries.
Right.
And so, like, when you start making these explanations that involve injuries here and there, everyone else is looking at them like, so? Yeah. We got injuries too. Okay, your run game's not working? Yes, sometimes our run game doesn't work either. And that's the problem. Yes, they're getting wins. And to your point about trust, this is when the trust is built. When it gets really dark, if Jalen and these receivers and Kevin Patullo make it out of this, they will have that trust that we're talking about. But the question is, when Brian Johnson was their coordinator, they didn't make it out.
Right.
That he no longer got a job, and they went and looked for somebody outside.
Right.
Said, Kellen Moore, come on over here and fix this. That's what we're looking at. And while we can say it's all going to be fine, if it's not, which we've seen this happen in recent history, people start losing their jobs.
Eagles. Fight for me, dog. Let's go. Let's go, Eagles. Make it. Fly, Eagles. I'm doing my Sal impression. Fly, Eagles, fly.
The segment is self-explanatory. And so here we go. Jeff,
I like it.
If I were to say the Indianapolis Colts are the best team in the NFL, would you say Jeff-initely or Jeff-initely not?
Jeff-initely. Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. I love what they got. Shane Steichen has done a great job with Daniel Jones. And if you can't say Jeff, they're the best team right now. They're healthy. Their offensive line's blocking. Jonathan Taylor's lighting it up. Their receiver play. Their defense is doing well. It got ate up a little bit, but
do you agree? Are they Jeff-initely the best team in the NFL?
They are definitely the best team in football right now. Oh my God!
I love it.
Oh, that's very good. Okay. Has Daniel Jones Jeff-initely silenced all of his critics at this point?
I can't. He definitely has. Think about it. Their offense from last year. Right now, they're first in points per game, yards per play, offense success rate, passer rate. Like, honestly, and everything. Like, definitely, this team rocks.
I went to journalism school, and this is what I do for a living. Let's move to the next one. Hey, Saturday, if I said Baker Mayfield is going to be the MVP this year, would you say Jeff-initely or Jeff-initely not?
Jeff-initely.
Okay.
This guy is lighting it up.
Yeah.
We just saw Kimberley did a whole breakdown of his third down, or his fourth down conversions, his third down conversions. This guy, he's leading the league at 40-yard touchdowns, 30, 20. Jeff-initely, double step, boost it. Oh, man, is lighting it up.
If we can actually have the conversation.
The best part is we got a few more minutes of this, and I know you're not going to let it go. We're going to be talking about Jeff-initely.
I love that.
But is he Jeff-initely the MVP?
At this point, he definitely is the MVP.
Yeah.
We don't know how the rest of the season is going to pan out, but I mean, I'll give some love to the running backs, man.
Here's the thing. If we can be serious while within the confines of this ridiculous construct, did anyone watch the game on Monday night and say, Tampa's not even a lock to win this division? Like, we talk about them like they're going to win this division so easily because the division is bad and they're going to beat each other up in the North and they're going to beat each other up in the West. All of a sudden, is Atlanta, are they going to figure it out? No.
So here's the thing, very good team. Bijan is fantastic. They have a lot of pieces. The Falcons swept the Bucs last year.
Right.
And all they needed to do, win an in game against the Panthers, and they still lost, didn't make the playoffs. You know who they lost to the week before they had that Monday night game? The Panthers, 30-0. So I do think the Bucs are still set up to win the division.
And they lost to the Bucs for week 1.
Yes.
Like they dug themselves a little hole in their own division.
But they are improving. You want to see growth? Listen, more of this all season.
The Falcons are good, but I mean, I think there's a little bit of inconsistency with the Falcons that over the past few years that's hard for me to like fully lean in on the Falcons. I think that what we're seeing in Tampa Bay, though, it does feel like for Baker Mayfield, he's having a career-defining moment right now, and he is definitely turning things around.
It is.
I'm his favorite Jeff.
He is
Top Jeff.
Yeah, he is
Top Jeff. He can all the Jeffs.
He's redefining his career. All right, Jeff, one more, if I can. The Lions, if I said they will repeat as champions of the NFC North, would you say that's Jeff-initely or Jeff-initely not?
Jeff-initely happening. I like this Lions team. I get that Kansas City beat them up and it was more physical. I think the 2 4th downs really hurt them during that football game. But I like the construct of this team. I like their offense. They've got injuries on the back end of the defense. They got to get healthy. Offensive line, they got to get a little healthier. But I like who the Lions are, and I like their makeup.
So, look, I picked them to go to the Super Bowl this year. So, clearly, I agree with you. But you know the people who really know this stuff are the bettors. Yeah. So, when we had Joe Fortenbaugh here on Friday, he said the play on Sunday night is definitely Kansas City. And he rattled through. We're watching this Lions offense explode. They did it against the Bears. They did it against the Ravens. They did it against the Browns, who do have a very good defense, but a lot of those points came. And then they did it against the Bengals. So the point is, he was basically pouring a little cold water on this idea that the Lions' offense is better now. Right. Yeah. We've talked a lot about the Eagles without their offensive coordinator. Well, Ben Johnson is gone also. Right. He was an important piece of what they did. How important, I guess we're going to find out as the year goes on. But Joe Fortenbaugh was very definitive on don't be so sure that the Lions are not a little bit a product of the teams they've played.
Yeah, and I understand where he's coming from with that, but when you started, as I was trying to figure out who are the best teams in football, when you start looking at everybody's resume, no one really has the resume that's super impressive because the parity, at least in this year, it's not like high-level parity. It feels like everyone's kind of come back to the middle. And every team that I thought was really good, when I look back at their resume, with the exception of Jeffrey's beloved Colts, they have beaten some teams that aren't great, they beat them bad. And they feel like the team that if you're doing like some sort of power ranking, you do a college style, that you look at and say, all right, no one has these great wins, but if someone has like defining wins, you see that they're beating people bad and they're in control of these games. Their defense took a step back last week, as you mentioned, but they're blowing people out.
I don't worry about their offense. To me, it's really these injuries on defense. I feel like are they going to have a repeat of last year where it's like this team is set to win it all, and week after week, there's another injury. So that's my concern.
To me, the big Hutchinson injury last year, like that, he is phenomenal.
But even with him, their defense is struggling.
No, but what I'm saying is when you get teams down, that's really when he can. That's really when he flourishes. So you gotta. I mean, so losing him last year to me was like the defining.
Not every defense has a player like that.
That's right.
But when you have a player like that that can control how good your defense is, that's a special guy. When you have him out there, it changes the complexion.
Just a little tidbit for Saturday trivia. I did name a cat when I was very young, Jeff-initely.